And I am Aaron Nolan coming to you from the NewsNation Now studio from Chicago. We have breaking news that we've been covering. If you've been on social media, you've probably seen the headlines. There's been a mass shooting in San Jose. 8 people are dead, including the shooter. Now, this happened at a public transport facility in San Jose. I want to read a couple of quotes before we go live to the scene in San Jose. The mayor of the city in San Jose said, "We are in a very dark moment." The chairman of the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, where the shooting happened, has said this is a horrible tragedy and it has happened there in that area. Sarah Stinson is live from the scene. Sarah is actually about 10 minutes away, covering a fire that authorities believe is part of the ongoing scene here. Sarah, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about what has happened this morning?
Aaron, this story has become very complex. We are learning a lot more, and it took a while to get information, and we now know that's because there's at least 2 scenes with this mass shooting, one of them being here just about 10 minutes away from the mass shooting. It's a house fire. We've confirmed that the shooter, Sam Cassidy, he lived here on Angmar Court, and you can see the fire started here. There's still a major scene here. We got fire here as well. We've got San Jose Police Department. We've got paramedics. We also have the FBI, the ATF. They're all here because they not only had a fire here break out, but they also found ammunition, and they suspect there's some more stuff in there. That's why they have the bomb squad. They're using robots to scan and go inside and make sure that nothing else can hurt anyone. So that's why they use the robots. They don't want to send people in there. But the fire is out. It's just crazy to think that this fire started at about 6:36 this morning. 10 minutes later, about 8 miles from here, we think the gunman, Samuel Cassidy, drove to VTA, and that's where he shot 8 workers. Then took the gun and shot himself. We just confirmed that with the Santa Clara County District Attorney. And so that is the latest. We've learned that they are, working to investigate how this all happened, what happened at this house before he, took off to the mass shooting scene. But it is a scene that is complex, and that is why, it has been tricky to get information, but devastating at that. The mayor telling people, we are in a tough time right now, sending condolences to the family. There's a center for the victims where we've seen family members and friends going there because they haven't heard from their loved ones. This was a rail yard that, people were going to work at. It was only 6:45 in the morning, and shots broke out there. And that is when 8 people were shot and killed. Gunman killed himself. And we've learned that his name is Sam Cassidy. He lived here on Angmar Court, and the scene is developing as we speak. A huge police presence here. And there's another scene at the VTA rail yard where they're still investigating the mass shooting. That scene and this scene probably going to go on for hours, Aaron.
Sarah, I know that there have been several press conferences from authorities there in San Jose and in the area. What have we learned from this? I know you mentioned that we now know the name of the gunman. We know that the house of where he was, that he was an employee there. You mentioned Sam Cassidy, but what else have we been told, maybe as far as the victims are concerned, or family members, where they can go to possibly find out if their loved one was part of this?
Yeah, we found out that the gunman, Sam Cassidy, he was a current employee when he decided to open fire at the rail yard. We've also learned that those 8 people killed are all workers. So those are people who are at the rail yard, and they were just trying to do their job on a Wednesday morning and instead killed by a fellow employee. And then that shooter killed himself. Now, there is a report that we have at the reunification center, and that is just 3 blocks away from the shooting scene at the rail yard. And family members have gone there. Some people, ended up being able to contact their family members who just lost their phone. Other family members had to learn the devastating news that they lost their loved one due to this horrific and senseless act by the 57-year-old Sam Cassidy, former employee now of VTA.
Sarah, what can you tell us about this transportation? Was this buses for the city? Was this trains for the city? What kind of transportation workers are we talking about?
So VTA is a train system. They also have buses, and they suspended all of their railways at noon. well, I don't even know what time, at noon. We still have a couple of minutes before they suspend it. And then they have buses, which they're going to do a bridge service. So they're going to be able to pick up some of those passengers via bus. But where this shooting happened was at their rail yard.
Okay.
And so they said it didn't affect any of the, schedules because they had already left the hub. So the trains left the station essentially, went to go about their business, and then this mass shooting broke out.
Sarah Stinson reporting live for us from San Jose. Sarah, before you go, this is obviously something that's going to be very heavy on the hearts of Californians all across the area, especially there in San Jose. What have people that you've talked to, maybe neighbors surrounding where you're at right now, near the home of this gunman that is now engulfed in flames, what are they saying?
Well, I've talked to a lot of people in the area, and actually not a lot of people knew anyone who lives in this Angmar court. They all live on this side, and unfortunately I can't get any closer to the neighbors who are quite literally next to the shooter. But the people who live on the other side, they said, I didn't know that person, and I didn't know anybody who lived actually down that court, but they were just saying that this is obviously horrific, happening in their city. Mass shooting, 8 people dead, 9 including the gunman. So people definitely affected by this, Aaron, but so far haven't been able to get in closer to talk to some of those neighbors who actually may have known Sam Cassidy.
Before you go, what is next? Is there another press conference where more information will be released coming up?
Yeah, there is a press conference set. I believe it's at 1:30 PST. So we will be at that, and we will be learning more about this because, Aaron, I mean, this is 2 scenes. So you have multiple agencies. Yeah. So that's why it has been a little slower to get information. But as this story unfolds, we're going to learn more about the victims, and we're going to learn more about the shooter and why this all happened.
Sarah Stinson reporting for us. Sarah, thank you so much. Stay safe as you continue to cover this. Much more coming up a little bit later. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, real quick, want to update you if you're just now joining us on the NewsNation Now Facebook page or our affiliates' Facebook pages all across the country. 8 people are dead, plus the shooter in a San Jose mass shooting happening in California at a public transport facility. According to authorities, the gunman did work at this facility where it happened. Then there is now a second scene, and that's where Sarah was at. There's a fire there. They believe it's the home of the shooter. That shooter has been identified. They're telling us his name is Sam Cassidy. A few other things that Sarah was able to tell us is what time this happened. The shooting happened about 6:45 local time in the morning this morning, and that area is a train yard area that allows public transportation via train. I do want to read a couple of comments from the mayor, who has said, we are in a very dark moment. That's San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo. We have also heard from the governor of California, who has said that, if I look through my notes here, the governor of California has also tweeted out that they are working with authorities and they're going to find out more information as soon as they can. So a lot is going on. A lot will continue to go on. We're going to continue to follow this on NewsNation as we begin early edition. Our first newscast of the day starts at 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock there on the Pacific area. And we just learned that there is a 1:45 press conference that we're going to go to. Governor Newsom, I want to get to that. I just found my notes. Governor Newsom said they're in close contact with law enforcement and monitoring the situation. We will continue to monitor this situation. We encourage you to join us for NewsNation Early Edition. That starts again at 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, and we'll continue that through NewsNation Prime as we cover this shooting where 8 people have been killed in San Jose, including the gunman. For now, we're going to take a break. We'll continue to roll on here on NewsNation Now. I'm Aaron Nolan.